Are you ready for this one? This deep dive, well, it's going to be a strange one. It's a bit of internet lore, a bit of culinary philosophy.
And a whole lot of bats.
Yeah, you sent this in.
A whole lot of bat facts.
So you know what you're in for. Buckle up.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've got this kind of mixture here of like these very specific claims about natural world and then also these very like kind of big philosophical questions.
Yeah.
And it really makes you think about like how we categorize information.
Exactly.
And where we draw connections between things.
Yeah, because, we're looking at some, let's call them claims about bats, the moon, and the true nature of pasta.
Right.
And I have to say, you gave us like pages and pages about bats. You clearly did your research.
It really went deep on the bats.
So, let's talk about that for a second. Like, what were some of the things that really stood out to you about the bats?
Well, first of all, just the sheer like volume of bat facts was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that really caught my eye was the fact that some bat species can live for like 40 years, which is like wild.
That's incredible, especially for a creature that's so small.
Yeah, it's really remarkable when you think about it. Like, tiny little bat flying around, living for 4 decades.
Yeah.
And scientists think it's because of like a bunch of different things about their biology.
Oh, really?
They have a slow metabolism.
Oh, interesting.
They hibernate.
Yeah.
They have a relatively low risk of predation, especially when they're in their roosting environments.
Right.
So it's like all these different factors kind of come together.
It's a balance.
Yeah, it's a balance of adaptations that they've kind of honed over, millions of years.
Yeah. So then, after the bats, things take a bit of a turn. You gave us the quote, "The moon is always watching and judging us."
Yeah, a little creepy.
It's a bit eerie, yeah. What'd you think about that?
Well, I think, on the one hand, it's easy to just kind of dismiss that as like, a spooky saying.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the moon has held this kind of profound cultural significance.
Oh, for sure.
For centuries, like across cultures, people have looked to the moon.
Totally.
And they've created myths and stories about it.
Absolutely.
And it's really interesting that you picked up on this because in your source material, you specifically highlighted how in ancient Mesopotamian culture, the moon was revered as like a deity that governed cycles of life, death, and rebirth.
Wow.
So this idea of a watchful, judgmental moon, it kind of like fits right into that belief system.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay. Now, are you ready for the most unexpected turn of all?
Hit me.
Pasta is a lie.
Oh, yeah.
And you even called it a chopped up boiled sandwich.
Yeah.
Now that is a hot take.
I know it's pretty out there, right? But I think what's interesting about it is that it actually touches on this deeper concept.
Oh, really?
Of culinary deconstruction.
Okay.
So by challenging like the conventional definition of pasta, you're basically prompting us to re-examine
Interesting.
how we categorize and interpret food.
Okay, so I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying, like, what even makes a sandwich a sandwich?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, is it just the bread? What about open-faced sandwiches?
Right.
Wraps?
Are those still sandwiches?
Are those sandwiches?
And then you can even take it a step further and say like, okay, well, pasta dough, it's often made with eggs,
right,
which could be considered similar to certain sandwich fillings.
Yeah.
So then it becomes this question of like, how we choose to define these ingredients and how we categorize them.
I'm still not sure I'd call pasta a boiled sandwich.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the fresh perspective.
Yeah.
You've definitely given me something to ponder next time I'm making spaghetti.
I think that's the whole point. It's not about being right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's just about like looking at familiar things.
With a new lens.
With a new lens, yeah. And that's what makes these
connections so fascinating.
These unconventional connections so fascinating.
Yeah. So what did we learn today? Well, maybe a bit about the surprising longevity of bats, the cultural weight of the moon.
And definitely something about challenging culinary norms.
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen when you connect seemingly unrelated ideas, isn't it?
I think so. And it really just shows us that, knowledge isn't confined to these neat categories. It's like in the spaces between those categories where different concepts collide.
Right.
That truly interesting things happen.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe there are other culinary lies out there just waiting to be exposed.
Yeah, maybe everything we think we know about food is wrong.
Food for thought. Right.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.